Hello, One Iam. I'm delighted to have you here, and we're going to have a wonderful chat. I know.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Dean. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to start off with the question right off the bat that hopefully will set the tone for the rest of our conversation. You are a consciousness explorer. Uh, um, when someone asks you what consciousness is, how do you explain that to them?
I explain it to them by saying that consciousness is the quantum field that we speak of today in science. Consciousness can be understood as the still, silent, infinite, and obscene observer of all that is experienced, but it cannot be observed itself. You understand?
But it can be experienced.
It experience it experience as it experiences things, perception within its own being,
Hmm.
but it cannot be experienced itself except in a reflection of its own being. You understand? A reflection which is the material world. What we call the material world is a reflection of that inner consciousness.
Okay. Why would that be? Why would the perceived world around us be a reflection of the autonomous being that we perceive ourselves to be?
Because it's thought. It's the end result of a thinking process, of a process of attention, intention, attention, and perception, all built out of mental energy. The mind is all there is, and it has a perceptive experience uh, within itself. It's having the experience, but it's the only thing that exists. The experience itself is mental fluff. It's not real. It has no independent value outside of the mind. It is
Hmm.
a perceptive experience in the mind. And we call it sense perception. Perception is still perception, but it comes from five sense frequencies of vibrations: smell, sight, sound, taste, and touch.
Hmm.
And it's built from those frequencies, the information in those frequencies, and then projected into an experience that the mind can have. It is the mind that is observing the experience, you understand, and having the experience. And the identity itself is just a vehicle that the mind uses to have the experience.
You perceive the identity to be separate from the mind.
Well, the identity itself is a perceptive value. It's built around the mind, a perceptive value. As they say in the Matrix, like, look at me, like here, right? There is no spoon. You understand?
Hmm.
That there is actually no spoon. And that means basically, when the little boy told Neo there was no spoon, there's no physical world, and etc. It's you, you know, and you just have to wake up to the fact that it's you, and then you can, manipulate the energy to have whatever you will.
Hmm.
Whether you want the spoon to bend or you want the spoon to disappear. You
So,
understand?
in your understanding, what is a mind? We talk about a mind,
Yeah,
and lots of
the
folks
mind,
study a mind, but what is a mind?
an intelligence. It's an awareness that is intelligent, and it has infinite mental energy. It, It's a mental process, machination, and a being of infinite power and just infinite, eternal existence. Just the mind.
The mind.
Yes, there's nothing outside of the mind. Everything that you are experiencing is within awareness and consciousness. And there's no way to be outside of what is infinite.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Right. How do you distinguish between the mind and the spirit?
No, there's different ways of saying the mind. Some people call it source. Some call it the spirit. Some call it the universe, God. Just a number of different ways to say the mind. The force, from Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
May the force be with you. And then the closer you are to the force, the more powerful you are, which you're never away from the force. It's just about your realization of it. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And how you awaken up to the force and become more powerful with its use, and which is your own self-use, the infinite mind.
It said as we evolve, as we advance along the enlightenment path, that we have available to us a multitude of minds that are essentially layered as we become more capable of um, participating in that mind.
Hmm.
Is your perception of the mind monolithic, or is it multi-layered?
I would say the mind is monolithic. It's monolithic, and the mind is all there is, and there's only the mind. I am, and that is all. You know, but there's layers of forgetfulness. You understand,
Mm-hmm.
and layers of being lost in the perceptive process, uh, where the mind is acclimated into the mental matrix, and then it forgets itself. And most people believe they are the identity rather than the observer. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And they're operating from the end result, which is the mind is the causal factor. You understand? And then the end result is the perception that you see after all the mental stuff takes place. You understand? So you get that perception, and then you're acclimated into the perception to have the experience. You understand?
Well,
And then
that's you're describing the fruit of the mind process, the fruit of
yes,
the processing of the thought. Is that
yes,
correct?
yeah.
Okay.
And once you're acclimated into the process, you forget that you are the observer, and that it's all in your mind, and you start to believe that you are the identity, and you never look back at the one who is observing. Uh, that's ignored as you go throughout life. You understand? And then you lose
Well,
control of the process.
that's the common practice, but is that inevitability?
No, that's
Is
not
that
in.
inevitable?
No, you could always awaken, in the process. Several people have awakened to the spirit and to the awareness behind it all. Um, Ramana Maharshi uh, was awakened. The Maharaja, a lot of the Indian gurus are awakened. A lot of Americans are awakened. I listened to Cosmic Carey and uh, Bashar, different Deepak Chopra. There are people that are aware of the mind, and aware that this is an illusion and a perceptive process that we're going through. uh, as people and that identity of it all. There's only one observer behind every experience. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's just, the different experiences, they have different variables. You understand, of how they were raised, how they came in, uh, the things that they attach to as identity, whether they're male or female, eye color and different things like that. All of these things come out of the information that is within the DNA frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You
The
understand?
characteristics of a particular
Yeah, the
incarnation you're
characteristics of the
describing.
particular identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So,
but it's
more specifically, what is the identity, and why do we create an identity
well, it's the mind
in
that's
your
creating
perception?
it. It's the mind that creates all the identities uh, out of the quantum field of its own mental energy, and it's just what a mind does for exercise and entertainment, and to be able to explore itself. It has no way to look at itself other than to reflect uh, a mirror of itself out, an external mirror. You understand, of
Mm-hmm.
of of what it does and how it operates and what it thinks, and it looks at that and it gathers these experiences to determine what it is and how it feels, and different things. The movie The Matrix, like the Oracle, she offered Neo a piece of candy, and he said, you already know if I'm going to take the candy or not. So what's the point of she like, you're not here to understand, to know whether or not you take the candy. That decision has already been made. It's already been played out and everything in the causal part. We're here in the effect. So yeah, that decision has been made. But what you're here to find out is why. Why is there even an oracle? Why is there even candy here to be passed? Why is the story running this way? You understand? It's running this way from the causal point where you are. Why is the story running this way and not another? See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Is there a
So,
purpose
so a purpose for the perceptive
for all that
experience,
you're describing? The structure and the nature of the experiences that you're describing. Is there a purpose? Is
to
there a
get a
purpose
look,
for creation?
to get a look at the reflection, to get a look at itself, the infinite mind. That's the purpose of it, and to exercise and entertain itself, the mind being the only thing there is.
Okay. My um, definitions would be a little bit different from yours, and allow me to offer a little bit of my perspective. Then I invite your critique,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess,
okay,
or
yeah.
comment on it. Okay.
I invite
Uh,
yours as well. On what I'm saying. Uh,
well,
yeah.
that's what I'm trying to get. I'm
Hmm.
trying to get the crux for our listener, to make it more understandable for them.
Mm, yes.
And as I'm sure you're aware, there's always opportunity for misunderstanding in verbal communication,
Yes.
because what we hear is not necessarily what was said, and what we say is not necessarily what people hear.
Yes. It's
So,
a
it,
mental process going on here.
well, well, it's all a mental process.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's all a mental process. My perception that the nature of our experience um, is that there is a mind, a body, and a spirit. I concur with you that the physicality, the perception of physicality, is terribly transient. It's not real. It's just an opportunity for us to have a more intense um, experience because of the I use the example of a video game. The parameters of the video game are more narrow than when we're not playing the video game. And so it directs the nature of our experiences. But beyond that, my perception is that we are a mind, body, spirit. Our perception is that we have an individualized spirit. The reality is there's not an individualized spirit, there is the one infinite creator. In our limited capacity to recognize the vastness of that compels us to perceive of our individual spirit. But the mind, my perception of the mind is that we have potential access to a multitude of layers of mind, the mind in all cases being nothing more than a bundle of beliefs. And this bundle of beliefs actually becomes the lens that we use to enjoy our experiences, the ultimate experiencer being our spirit, the one infinite creator as a spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
so that provides us, as we evolve, with the opportunity to surrender the more restrictive minds with the more narrow parameters that we're alluding to as an identity. And the identity is something that um, is the source of all of our stress and all of our suffering, because we create that for the sole purpose of trying to trick the world into giving us more of what we like. All consciousness is motivated to get more of what it likes.
Mm-hmm.
And as we create this identity, it is unique to an incarnation based upon a multitude of factors, not the least of which is our physicality and parenting and environment and so forth. It gives us the opportunity to have certain types of experiences to fulfill the curriculum of this range of consciousness. But the most distinctly, the identity is what we are um, awakening to. An awakening, in my perception, is that first, when we're living underneath the auspices of the identity, our awareness is pointed outside of us. So I have to watch your reactions to my identity so I can modify my identity to more effectively trick you into giving me more of what I like. And
Mm-hmm.
awakening is that first point in time where you realize that you're not happy. And in order to have that realization, you have to turn that awareness around and point it inside to be aware of what we perceive and understand the fault of the direction, but from the sake of explanation standpoint, when we become aware of what is going on inside of us, is really the first opportunity that we um, take to begin to assume responsibility for healing our erroneous perceptions of self. And the whole process of evolution, the whole process of enlightenment is the furtherance of that surrendering of those devices that we've created that we're calling an identity, and ultimately evolving to higher ranges of consciousness where we again continue to surrender the restrictions of the mind or the minds that we uh, participate in at that range of consciousness. And I offer that for your comment in
Uh-huh.
exchange.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Uh,
Well, I didn't
it's
want to bore you, so I throw it at you all at
no,
once.
it's a lot. And it's interesting, what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of it. A lot of what you said. Uh, but like I say, the mind is all there is,
Hmm.
and the universe is mental. This is ancient Hermetic wisdom. It's in the book, the Kabbalion. This is all cause and effect, with the mind and the observer being the cause of it all, in the perceptive process being effect. Uh, the effect itself not being real. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Just being an energy arrangement. We all know that all of the elements are energy. Uh, it's just that the energy creates an appearance in consciousness of mind that makes us believe that we're having a life and an experience and etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we are having the experience. We're having that life and experience, but it's not the body that's having it.
Right.
It's not. It's not. You know. The person per se and the identity that's having the experience. It's the observer that is wearing the identity that is having the experience. You understand? And the
Yeah,
observer can't.
understand the identity to be the lens that we
Yeah, the lens,
create
right?
in order. Just like if you put
That's
a blue lens on a camera, everything you photograph is going to
hmm
have a blue tint to it.
that's a good word. The lens. That that is what the identity is. The lens by which you're able to experience. Like having, sitting in a chair and touching and feeling and smelling and
Mm-hmm.
everything. That's how the mind gets into the process in order to have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah. Do you meditate?
Yes, I meditate.
Okay.
That's that's I
When you
started
meditate,
meditating years ago. Yeah, like about in the 1999, 2000,
okay.
around in there, and when I joined the Rosicrucian order.
All
hmm
right. And when you go deeply into meditation, do you still um, feel your physicality? Do you feel the constraints of the physical and the identity?
No, when you go deeply into meditation, no, you don't feel the constraints of the body and etc. Uh,
Okay.
it's almost like being in a what they would call being in an isolation tank or something, where they do have tanks where you go and lay in salt water, heavy salt water, and
Right.
lose the feeling of the body and everything. And if they close it down and it's dark and everything, you can almost go into a point where there's nothing there but consciousness. You understand? And
Have
that's pretty.
have you done any hypnosis? Have you allowed yourself to be deeply hypnotized?
No, I haven't done
Okay.
hypnosis.
Only reason I ask is to ask you if you had a comparison of your deep meditation as opposed to that
hmm
state that you would have experienced in a deep hypnosis.
No, I've never had deep hypnosis or done any drugs or anything.
Okay.
Uh, just meditation and contemplation within my own inner being, where the
Mm-hmm.
kingdom is. The kingdom is within. And this is where you have to go in order to get control of the external process. You
Mm-hmm.
know, seek you first the kingdom and all of its righteousness, which is you seek the inner kingdom and then learn all the rules of the kingdom, and everything that you wish to have, will be added unto you because you know the rules and uh, the inner being that is creating the perceptive process. So you can
Mm-hmm.
have what you will. But, if you are, locked into the identity and the perception and you never look back toward the observer who is having the experience, who is creating the experience, then you're just going to be rolling with the perception. You're going to be walking by sight
Mm-hmm.
and not by faith, not by the faith where you can control everything from.
Well, what is the difference between hope and faith in your perspective?
Hope, like they say, hope is a substance, uh, of the things, the faith being a substance. Hope is the substance. of things, hope, that you want to get, you're hoping for. This is what you want to build. You understand? And
Mm-hmm.
then you build it, you visually build it in the mind. You understand? And have faith in what you see in the mind. And then that faith is the evidence that what you see in your mind, you're going to see externally, you know. And it has to be that way because the energy has to obey the mind. It's the mind's own infinite energy, and it has to obey the commands of the mind. So what you're building within and hoping for, if you believe it and have faith in it, you're going to get it. It's going to, the energy, as from the quantum experiments, where everything is like a wave. The energy is a wave uh, moving, and then when the energy gets observed, it comes down into particle reality because the mind is now looking and observing something. And
Mm-hmm.
then the particle reality starts to build that into the perceptive process. That's when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down from the possibilities and the potential into what we would call a reality. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a perceptive reality. The mind is
Right.
the reality. You
Yeah. The,
understand?
the basis of quantum mechanics.
Yes, but you can build whatever you will to have within the perceptive experience. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if you believe, your faith will make you whole and you learn how to operate your mind, then you can have whatever you would. The energy is infinite and, and just eternal and all powerful. And there is no scarcity and poverty and sickness and all these other things going on. These things exist because you believe in these things. You understand,
Mm-hmm.
and you're operating without a grip on the matrix. You kind of like
Mm-hmm.
operating by sight and not by faith. You
So
understand?
what is our what aspect of us is our adjudicating factor, our determining factor? How do we measure our experiences and accomplish what you're describing as faith?
It's
What what
building.
what what guides us?
What you mean? What guides you to want whatever it is you want?
Well, we're all
Is
motivated to get more of what we want, or what we
Yeah,
like. We're all motivated to get more of what we like, and what we like may
yeah,
be completely different from everybody else in all of creation.
right,
And so the nature of our manifestations is going to be unique.
right.
But what aspect of us, um, what element of us as conscious beings
Mhm.
determines whether we like something or don't like something, whether we choose that path or not?
Well, I think maybe the way you have been acclimated into the process, uh, into this
Well, that would
experience,
contribute to your uniqueness, certainly, and that would be part of the identity, wouldn't
and
it?
part of what you want would come out of that, inside of the experience.
But wouldn't that be part of the identity?
What
Wouldn't you
part of
incorporate that into the identity
what
as
you
part of
want?
the bundle of beliefs?
The beliefs come, they come and go. Uh, they
Well, as
change.
you have additional experiences and you learn,
Yeah,
yeah, the beliefs come and go as you, but theoretically, it's supposed to work. You're refining those beliefs. Uh,
theoretically. Sometimes
yeah,
you get into a loop though,
yeah,
and
right.
and you you hold that belief over and over, and you
Well,
get
they
into a
said the
loop.
best laid plans of mice and men.
Yeah, and then you keep repeating that loop, that same loop
Yeah.
over and over
Yeah.
over the
Isn't it
years.
healing though? the point that I'm asking you, isn't it feeling that determines our like and dislike? It's not a rational logical process. The mind would imply a rational logical process,
Uh-huh.
but isn't it actually feeling that we
Well,
determine
you have
like or dislike?
feelings and emotions and everything. This is what empowers uh, your vision into coming into being. It adds that extra oomph, you know, the emotion and the feelings that you have about it. Uh,
Okay. Is there an emotion other than our adjudication of an experience to be that feels good and we like it, or doesn't feel good and we don't like it? Is there another emotion besides that decision?
uh, I don't know. I really don't know about that question. Is there another emotion other than liking or disliking something? Uh, I guess that you could be in the middle, you know, of whether you like or dislike something.
Neutrality?
Yeah,
Would you learn anything from that experience if you were unwilling or unable to make that adjudication?
I think so. I think you could learn something from being in the middle because you're not so determined to be at one end or the other, you know, and maybe see both sides of having and not having.
Okay,
You
well,
understand?
assuming we achieve significantly higher consciousness, where
Yes.
we no longer have an identity and we have evolved to um, an aspect of consciousness that not only has realized its awareness, but its love, its wisdom, and its unity. And we're preparing to experience the stillness of creation. Um, is it, would a characteristic of that achievement be neutrality of emotional interpretation?
Yeah, I think so. I think so because that's when you go back to the stillness and to the silence and to the unseen observer, you back to the place where all the possibilities exist. You understand? Where all
Mm-hmm.
the possibilities exist. Uh, every sound that's ever been made has came out of stillness. You understand? Every movement that has ever taken place, every motion uh, uh, has came out of stillness. Uh, the sounds come out of silence. You understand? Uh, silence being the base of all sound, and stillness being the base of all movement. And and the unseen observer is there building from its own mental energy perceptive experiences out of silence and stillness. The whole universe sits in silence and stillness
Mm-hmm.
and darkness, and the unseen observer sits in the mind.
Does the creator feel?
You say it's the creator of field. The field is all there is. The field of an intelligent being is all there is. You understand? And the perception itself there is no spoon. As you sit there and this, that, and the other, and
Mm-hmm.
look at yourself and this, that, and the other, you're looking at a perceptive experience. You're having an experience. So there's nothing to be God of other than your own mind and your own mental machination that you're playing with. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So is there a God? Yeah, there can be 1,000 gods. How many do you want? It's up to you.
Well, there could be 1,000, and that would negate the argument for the one infinite creator, because if the one creator is all that there would be only subordinate uh,
Well,
children of a lesser god.
well, the thing is, the one creator of what? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying the one creator. Uh, you are assuming that there's something that has been created independent of the mind. You understand? something that sits other than the mind. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the mind and I created this. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is there is a mind creating perceptive experiences within its own being. You understand?
Does the mind that you're describing have inherent characteristics?
No, like inherent
Well,
characteristics
like
such as
awareness.
it is awareness.
Okay, so it would
It
have
is,
the inherent characteristic of awareness. Would it have love?
it is, all of these things are within the perceptive experience, the love and these things that go along with bodies and people and other things.
Well,
Uh,
I think that's only because we perceive love to be an emotion, and we confuse loving behavior
mm,
with the concept of love, and love being um, an inherent characteristic of the creator is um, not a commodity. It's not
mm,
something that is given or received. It's a level
mm,
of consciousness, essentially, a degree of surrender of the perception of separation
mm.
and reintegration of our wholeness,
I'm glad you
which
said perception of separation, because that's a pointer to the fact that it's perception,
mhm.
separation. You understand? And
But
that
that's a distortion.
a distortion. How?
Well, it's the perception of separation is a
Yeah, that
distortion.
is a distortion. There is no separation. There's just the one mind, the infinite intelligence of it all, the
Mhm.
being, the infinite being. You understand? And there is no spoon. The whole universe and everything. Yeah, it's an energetic expression
Mhm.
within the mind of the mind's own mental energy. So what has been created other than smoke and mirrors? You
Okay.
understand?
Do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to leave with our listening audience before we depart?
Well, I would say if they want to have the best experience that they can have, is to go within and awaken the observer that is observing the mental perception that's taking place. And then when you awaken that observer, then from the causal, as they say, as within, so without, as above, so below, you
Hmm.
go within at the causal point and and make changes. And then the external will be different and be more what you want. Or go above to the mind. You understand? Put the mind over the matter rather than the matter controlling the mind. When the matter starts to control the mind, you're locked into the perceptive experience and you're not able to have what you will. You just got to roll with what's happening. You
That in and of
understand?
itself is a glitch in the matrix.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
All right, One Iam, I've enjoyed this tremendously. I hope that you have too.
I
Uh,
have. I have. It was great listening to you.
Great, thank you. And for our audience, I'll put all the information on how to reach One Iam, and he's written several books. I'll put those links in the show notes too. So please, if you enjoyed this conversation, follow up and learn more about and follow One Iam and his explanations of his journey.
Amen. Thank you so
All
much.
all right, thank you. Hold on just a minute. I'm going to click us off the record part.